Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster. Working on our Pokemon theme park as always this season, and we are starting off with a couple buildings and placing them about, and also trying to go in and fill in some of the dead areas in between basically the Pallet Town and the Viridian City a little bit. So what we have here, I'm going to be making a pavilion over kind of this red plaza area at the end of Pallet Town. I felt like it was just too open and I needed some type of vertical element at the end of it. And it's just going to be a small wooden pavilion here. And the best way to go about, say, building these roof tiles or anything, I guess, custom that you're going to be using a lot of copy and paste is, number one, always try and line it up to the grid. I don't want to make the same mistake that we did on the Pokemon Center, because the Pokemon Center, what we did there was accidentally misalign something, so it's off by like a 16th of a grid line, and so that creates some problems. And it's really important to probably take your time and measure these things out properly so that you're able to get basically the effect that you want as quickly and as cleanly as possible in Planet Coaster in the time being. Blueprints are going to pretty much really change the dynamic, because making little sections of buildings might become more useful as long as you're able to kind of insert it into the grid or use it in some meaningful way. Possibly, I'm hoping to add some type of weld function so that you can like select multiple buildings, weld it together, and save it as a single piece, so that people are more encouraged to use the modular building style that's really the strong suit in Planet Coaster. So the wooden pavilion, rather straightforward. I even added some ribbing on the interior roof, and that is just to add some, I guess, structural integrity to the building. Also, we're going to be building on the interior of the Pokemon Center. Now, I didn't know if I was going to have enough room to do this, and it turns out we had enough room. I would have liked a little bit more, so that we could get the upstairs actually to be functional. But due to how the pathing tool is, and how the pathing tool really just focuses on its A to B kind of straight pathing and moving people in a straight line, it's not really great for plazas. So I had to kind of jank my way and create this plaza element on the inside using the flooring. But because I had to do that, it really limited, I guess, the stair potential on to get to the upper floor, where like you would trade your Pokemon or join online battles or things like that. This here, what I'm building right now, this is the healing machine, and I think it turned out pretty cool. It's definitely kind of a unique shape. It has that pretty standard black conveyor belt. It's a little bit, I guess I took some liberty with it, because the way the healing machines work is that it's not really explained. It's like, oh, you set them there, it flashes a couple times, and then it's done. So what I've done is imagine, basically, it's kind of like an MRI machine that you put your Pokeballs onto, then it slides into the machine and becomes healed, and then comes back out. At least that's how I'm interpreting it in this rendition. If you guys know, how that properly works, go ahead and let me know. I am a little curious, but it's definitely one of those things in Pokemon that you just do it and you just, oh, that's the way it is. Here's the upper staircase section, and then an awesome time skip. So that whole area is going to be kind of revealed during the real-time segment. In fact, there's going to be another time skip throughout. This episode kind of frustrated me a little bit, as I do struggle, you could say, laying out pathways and getting a good theme park feel for certain elements. And so I ended up wasting a lot of time building an area, deconstructing an area, building an area, deconstructing an area. So I'm kind of going to be skipping around to kind of touch on the main elements this episode, and then during the real time we can kind of go over everything in a little bit of a slower pace, so you guys can hopefully be inspired for your own stuff. Again, that is the goal for me doing Planet Coaster. I want to inspire you guys to do your own, and hopefully better than me. I don't want to be I guess, whenever someone's trying to be humble or trying to say that they're not very good, that can come across a little weird, but I truly think that you guys can build just as well, if not better than I can. So I encourage you guys to try anything and everything, and send me pictures, tweet at me, and I'll be happy to look at it and respond, as that's something I think we should do as a community, is really support this game and show the potentials in it, so that other people will buy it and they'll continue development and hopefully provide us with a really great user-friendly building tools to use down the road. So, enough of that little ramble, I guess. We are building the PokeMart. Now, the PokeMart is a very basic building in Pokemon. I've tried to find some fancier ones. In fact, they're even throwing Pokemon marts inside the Pokemon centers nowadays. I didn't know they were doing that. I always assumed there were separate buildings all the time, but apparently nowadays people are too lazy to walk next door. So this is kind of my interpretation of how that's going to be working. We have the building just attached to the side of the Pokemon Center rather than being inside. I did want, just more space to be taken up by these two structures, so that's why we built them separately. And the PokeMart, it's just this blue and white box. There's really not much to go off of when you're doing that. It's every building in Pokemon's really simple, because it started out as a simple sprite-based game, and so they kept that art style going forward so that the continuity will be there. But when you're trying to recreate that in a game, things tend to look a little boxy. I did end up fitting some interior elements in here, though. Some of the freezer space that are in the Pokemon games, and that's just using these window wall pieces here and then some white trim to make it look like it's slightly off the ground. I'm still having some weird pathing issues. I really think that's because we messed with the terrain, and there's really not much I can do with that until Planet Coaster, in my opinion, has a little bit better of a pathing system or some type of way to lay down more of a standard kind of grid plaza. Then this is kind of going to be the janky workaround that we're going to be doing. I tried for a while to get this back bathroom to work, ended up getting rid of it altogether, putting some air conditioning units that might be providing a lot of the cold air for the freezers, and then doing a nice, wonderful skip. So this area that I'm working on now, this has been killing my brain. This area right here along the river, across from the plaza that we started, I tried so many different rides, so many pathing layouts, and I had to settle with this. I'm not even still 100% happy with this. It's not really, I guess, flowing quite the way I want it to. It's just, in my opinion, not 100% what I've envisioned, but it just comes down to one of those things where sometimes you have to just push through, build and build and build, iteration upon iteration, until you can at least just move on. Fill in as much area as possible, get it as looking as nice as possible, and then move on, and then potentially come back to it later. You don't want to completely keep bashing your head up against a wall when you're doing something like this. You can really easily burn yourself out. A lot of rot work going along the river here. Going to try and slowly build up these elements. I'm not doing a solid wall of rocks. You don't want to do just solid, all this 3D rock placement. Some people do, and they can make it look relatively nice. One, I think it's unnecessary because they added textures. Two, I think it's also, it's nice to have these spots that stick out and then other spots to recede, and then you have this kind of dynamic in between stage that I think creates some layers and some places for your eyes to kind of go over the park itself. Back here, this is kind of going to be finishing up the episode of the speed build, and I have to credit Silverette for this because I wanted to do something that he did on his latest park, and that is because we're doing Pokemon. Pokemon's a younger thing. I want to end up building a little playground, and so that pathway is going to be that, but that's going to be for next episode going forward. This is pretty much all I got done on the speed build, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at it on real time. Alright, so here we are, real time at the Pokemon Park. You'll notice there's a lot more people than there were last episode. I got the suggestion to hide a whole bunch of rides to up the population count in the park. So I went ahead and actually hid about 3 carousels underground in like a little dugout area. And that increased our park by about 600. So that's why you're going to see a lot more foot traffic going around. Now that was suggested for a couple reasons. I had some issues here with the Gyarados queue line where people were just being turned away essentially and not queuing up, and we never really had a full load of people going around on Gyarados. I never really liked the look of that, so I kind of artificially increased the population. Because you can see, I think these 2 people right here just got turned away. Now, I don't know if that's because they might find it too intense, but we just don't know that information yet because the simulation's not really available, or really what's dictating that. But because we increased the population, the amount of people that get turned away compared to just going into the queue itself kind of breaks even and exceeds that. So we actually get people lining up now, which is really nice. That's something I really wanted to see. We have a total of 1479 people. In fact, I think this is probably as many as I'm gonna have, and just let the natural rides throughout increase it over time. I think that's gonna be better. So let's go ahead over here and take a look at our little pavilion. It's really basic. You know, this is just a really nice kind of viewing area with some outdoor seating. We could technically maybe build a concession stand out here, but they're a little boxy, and you're so close to the little, I guess, area right here anyways, that I don't think it's super necessary. Though obviously with our pathing and things like that, we're getting some definitely glitches in that spot. So it can be a little annoying dealing with that, but it's alpha. Alpha is always like this. If you buy this game and you're so angry about how it's performing or anything like that, it's not out yet. You know, if you guys are hesitant and don't know if you can even run the game, wait. Wait until it's done and then jump in once the final minimum requirements are released, because this is, you know, I can't stress it enough. It's basically like pre-ordering a game, and I don't like pre-ordering games. I don't think anyone should pre-order a game unless they really want to support that company or anything like that. Don't expect the game to be good just because you have early access to it or you pre-order a game. That's kind of just the base rule. It's too early to tell, essentially. Is this thing open? It is now. Okay. So we have all this nice little rock detail along the river, even throwing some texture along the floor. And from far away, this is really going to look nice. I can't wait till the water tool is released, because once this has some water in it, I think that's going to look very natural, very clean, and just going to really tie the space together. I don't want to put the artificial water like the roof tiles in, because I feel like that's a little too gimmicky. It's too shiny. It just never looks right. So it's best to just wait. I'm just gonna wait, and that'll be the final piece this month once Alpha 3 hits. I think August 23rd. So hopefully we can build quick enough for that to happen. Here's a little carousel. It's pretty much one of the smallest rides. I was gonna try put a kickflip in here, but it's just like a weird ride itself, so it didn't really fit anything. So carousel is a nice kind of in between, very clean looking ride, and it fits, I think, the square in general. Plenty of little flowery elements around it. You know, you tend to make the carousels and things like this very, I guess, almost like it's a Victorian garden. In a sense, you know, you have a lot of these elements in here, There's the Master Ball fountain. I'm going to end up adding a low wall surrounding this thing. That way it looks like it can actually retain water, because right now it just looks like it's throwing it all over the place. So that's something I want to do. Here's our Pokemon Center. I'm going to go ahead inside and show you guys what we have. So this is, I guess, kind of like a food court, if you want to think about it. You got some seating down here. You have kind of this nice little countertop with the red at night. This actually lights up, which I think looks pretty cool. I'm not going to show you guys any night shots until I set up the full lighting and everything. So that's going to be wait on hold, essentially. But we have kind of the healing machine, the little display monitor that's above it, and the red countertop for the Pokemon Center. Plenty of little seating elements, a little queue line. If we had something for a restaurant or concession stand, I would rather it be behind this counter, but sadly, not much we can do about that. Here are the actual concessions, though. The restaurants, the Chief Beef, and some drinking milk right there, Cosmic Cow, and some restrooms. Now, you guys are probably wondering, why do you fence off the restrooms? And that's because of just what I had to do to make this plaza work. So they can go in there. It's close enough. If there's just a small enough gap in the path, they can go over it just fine. People do go in there, so it does work. I've tested it extensively and over time. The upper area, just for looks, no one really goes up here because there's no way for me to connect a staircase on another path like this yet. I don't know if they plan on adding that eventually, but we do have that staircase, and if they do add that functionality, I'm saving this to see if they do, and then we can make this functional. I don't want to really decorate it a whole lot and then have to remove it all a bit later, because really it's just going to be viewed from right here anyways. So that's the interior of the Pokemon Center. Let's back out a little bit and head over here. This is the PokeMart. And on the interior we have, you know, 2 more food stalls, another restroom, very modern in here, you know, with the freezers, shelves for things. Basically, this is, of course, where you go get your Pokemon supplies, and the red representing maybe the Pokemon supplies in the sense you can get your Pokeballs here, or Great Balls, or what have you. And the blue, you know, you always want that bottle of water to give to the guard so he'll let you through in a route. I forget the name of that route. What route is that? Is that... I forget. I forget where the thirsty guy was. That won't let you through until you give him some water. But that's basically going to do us for this episode. I know it was a lot of off-camera stuff, but when you get frustrated and you're doing a whole lot of like zooming out and thinking really hard for long periods of time, I don't want to include that in a speed build section, because I feel like you're going to have these moments where the camera's just sitting completely still and nothing's going on while I rack my brains and basically pull my hair out over trying to build something that looks nice. It's just one of those things with building anything. You're going to have those frustrating moments. Oh, before we go, I decided to put this right here because I'm hoping once the recoloring comes out, we might be able to color these balloons to look like Pokeballs. I'm hoping. I think that would look pretty cool if we can. Like have one regular Pokeball color, a Master Ball color, and maybe a Great Ball color one. Because there's 3 balloon types, and I'm hoping I can get 3 types of Pokeballs out of that. At least that's the plan. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the episode, feel free to subscribe. If you're new, go ahead and leave a comment on what you guys think so far of a wonderful Pokemon Go park. Let me know what rides you want to see next. The next coaster is going to be a dueling coaster. That was an awesome suggestion. The name is escaping me who suggested that, but thank you. And until then, thank you guys so much for watching as always. And I'll see you guys next time in some more Planet Coaster.